is kind of a forgotten car because it's just not that common and you don't really think about it. So is that the definition of a sleeper?
It's an 06 Subaru Legacy Spec.B. This thing was kind of hot right out of the gate, but this is a rare beast.
In fact, there were only 500 made that year. This one happens to be number 11. And these have always been fairly capable vehicles. They're actually a lot more fun than you might first expect.
So we asked the owner, why did you buy this car? And he said, well, my friend owned this car, so he knew it already. He knew this car, he had driven it, been around it plenty. And then when he had the opportunity to buy it, he realized that it's all the kids that drive WRXs and STIs. It's the adults that drive the Spec.B.
In years 07 through 09, they actually made quite a few more Spec.Bs that were a little more standardized. But this one only came in this color, only had this interior. And it's Subaru kind of playing around at making, for lack of a better way to say it, kind of a legacy STI.
All right, so what has he done? Well, he was doing a pull with another Subaru and kind of blew up his engine, kind of fried the exhaust valves, cylinders number 1 and number 3, and had to have a full rebuild. So now it's pulling about 330, dyno tested at all 4 wheels, and that's a lot. I mean, a little old Legacy that looks like this.
With these upgrades, this has genuine power underfoot. He's reduced full turbo boost to, high 4s in the first gear, and then in the upper gears it comes on about 3,500. What's funny is that though it comes on late, which is kind of typical for Subarus of this era, when it comes on, it feels like a gear shift. It is so abrupt and sudden and so much more powerful than the car is standard. Around 5,000 RPMs, this pulls like crazy. It does not pull like you would expect a Legacy to drive. It's got real, genuine power. And your throttle response, it's a whisper on the throttle. You just kind of breathe on it and you're going faster.
And the transmission feels, well, it's not super smooth. It's not a transmission I want to really row through the gears. I'd kind of rather leave it in third and just pick the corners. You got to kind of manhandle the transmission, honestly.
This is a multi-plate, essentially race clutch. You can, of course, get used to it. You can get used to anything. But normal cars after this are downright flimsy in clutch feel. The clutch is actually just too aggressive, honestly, for what you have here.
This is a car you've got to manhandle. It kind of feels like a muscle car in that sense. But I'm surprised how well this car drives.
The Spec.B had the suspension system from the STI, so right there it was different than the normal Legacy. This one's been changed even further.
In addition to the STI components, the strut towers are inverted like the STI. He's got a shock tower brace on here, front and rear sway bars. This thing's a beast. It really is. The steering rack on this car, you'd think it's heavier than most, but it's really not that much heavier than an STI. I want to say that you're dealing with a much heavier car, but once you throw it in, it really isn't.
Handling-wise, it's very capable, and all of the movements are very taut. There's just not much feel. Sport Cup 2 tires, I think you told me on this car, those are aggressive tires, and they're hanging on well. Personally, I want more feel out of the steering. I want to actually feel a little more connected to the cornering. It doesn't mean it can't do it, I'm not getting much out of it. The overwhelming sense in Sami's car is that he's gotten everything really tightened down so nothing moves very much.
Despite being about 10 years old and, a little bit creaky, this thing feels so tight and robust. That's the reason to own this car, because from an interior standpoint, it's really not that interesting. It's different than WRXs and Subaru STIs, but other than that, okay.
This is a sleeper car. This is one of those cars you don't understand why he just destroyed you on a back road.
Okay, I get it. I'm kind of getting it now.
It's like a girl with an athletic body wearing a potato sack. I mean, this is a much more capable car than you would ever expect. I would like more steering feel, but I'm being picky.